Dopo la crisi, continueremo con questo sistema economico di ingiustizia sociale e di disprezzo per la cura dell'ambiente, del creato. Dopo la crisi, continueremo con questo sistema economico di ingiustizia sociale
So good afternoon, everybody. You are very welcome. And as you saw at the beginning of the session, very welcome to our on-live seminar on Can the Gift Within Management Be the Answer for a Post-COVID World? And we were supposed to have two very eminent guests in this topic, but unfortunately, Professor Gomez has an health issue and cannot join us, but we are very, very, very welcome to host Guglielmo Faldetta, Professor Guglielmo Faldetta here with us. And we're going to do a very, very interesting session, so please stay with us. Just on a quick note, if you need translation, you can join the other channels that are in our YouTube description. So there is Portuguese, a Portuguese translation, uma tradução em português para aquelas pessoas que precisem. There is a Spanish translation. Vosotros pueden mirar a este webinar en español. And there is also an Italian translation, and you have to click on the link for the Dutch language. So if you click on the Dutch language, magic will happen, and you'll have translation in Italian. And unfortunately, I cannot speak very much Italian. So you're very welcome. And perhaps I will ask Professor Faldetta before we start to say a few words about his work and about his research. This will very much be a dialogue where we have a number of our young participants that will ask questions, and they'll also introduce themselves when asking questions. But perhaps we should start with Professor Faldetta and a little bit of introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you very much. And first of all, let me thank you, all the people who organized this seminar, this on-live seminar, and so the Management and Gift Village staff, and most of all, Roberta Sferrazzo, who put a great effort in organizing this event. Well, I'm, as you said, I'm the only speaker this evening, so this afternoon. So I have a challenge that I took face, but I do my best. And so I am a professor of organization studies and human resource management. Actually, I teach here in Italy, Core University of Enna. And well, I start my research on gift giving since the beginning of my research activity. So since when I attended my PhD program, and I've discovered this fascinating world, the world of the gift, and I've learned many things and about that, and but the first things I've learned is that the gift is about life, real life of human beings. So we are in an on-life seminar, even if it is an online seminar, but it's very important to note this aspect of the gift that is about life, our life, and so I remained committed to this research topic since well 20 years, I think, and firstly I research about the theoretical aspect of the gift, and I discovered that it is a complex and multidimensional phenomenon that has been studied by many perspectives. So philosophy, sociology, cultural anthropology, and psychology, and finally economics, and very finally also management. Well, management, I think, comes at last in the scientific fields who have studied the gift, I think. And after having studied the gift from a theoretical point of view, I've tried also to do some empirical research. And from an empirical point of view, then it comes the hardest part of my work, because as maybe we will talk about in the seminar, studying the gift from an empirical point of view is not an easy task. And I tried to do some research, qualitative research, but also quantitative research. And I've tried to study the gift in those organizations that are maybe most maybe closer to the world of the gift. So non-profit organization, in the world of volunteerism, and but I discovered also that the gift is a part of every kind of organization, so public or private, profit or non-profit. So I tried to study also the gift in other contexts, so in private organizations, commercial organizations. And to do that, I tried also to use other related concepts, like, for instance, reciprocity, that for me is a key concept to understand the way the gift works in social context, like an organization. Maybe I'm talking of something that we can talk later. So I've published some research articles in some journals, Journal of Business Ethics, first of all, another. So maybe I can stop here, and
yes,
I can wait for the questions from our young scholars. That I know.
And let's not unveil all the secrets right at the beginning. Let's leave some of the secrets to the end.
Of course.
So, as I was saying, this is going to very much be a dialogue. So we have 4 of our young scholars ready to ask you some questions. But more than that, what we wanted is to provoke the dialogue between, an established scholar and a young scholar. So the first scholar to ask a question, a junior scholar in his process formation, is Diego Arias, currently based in Madrid, I think, doing his PhD at the Business School. Diego, you're very welcome.
Hi all, thank you. Thank you very much, Ricardo. Actually, I am in Barcelona because I'm doing my PhD at IES Business School. No worries, no problem. I'm very grateful to be here with you. I'm very grateful to be here also with Professor Faldetta. And well, I will ask my question. As I said, I am a PhD student at IES Business School, and I have chosen the gift as a topic for my whole dissertation, which is well, about the gift in management. So you can imagine how busy I have been, mostly also reading Professor Faldetta. I have been very, very busy. However, I will like to know, Professor, how would you suggest us to do research about the gift in management? Would you advise us to stay at a conceptual and theoretical level, or would you encourage us to go into empirical research about the gift in management, or maybe both? And you just said that doing empirical research about the gift is a difficult task, because, well, this is a situation from which I'm still there, and I know it has been very difficult for me to do, and I'm still doing it, and I am very stressed about it. But I don't know if you could say something to us that we would like to do research, empirical research about the gift, on how can we navigate better through this kind of research. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Diego, for the questions. It's I've heard about your work and your PhD project, so I know that you are committed to this topic. And well, it is a quite interesting question, and I said in the introduction that researching in the gift world is not an easy task. Well, if we have to focus on economics on one side, but management and organization studies, that is my field in particular. Well, we know that, for instance, behavioral economics have studied the gift, for instance, from using, we know the well-known gift exchange game. This is an example, but I think that it is not what we have to do in management studies. Or, for instance, I can give another example in organizational behavior. From an individual point of view, I myself have studied the gift using a measure of the individual intention to donate, for instance. We have some scale that measure this intention. It is an individual intention. For instance, I studied a gift from this point of view to understand the motivation of volunteers and their intention to stay in the organization. But this is a way to study the gift that look only at the individual level, because it is just analyzing the intention that the individual have to donate. For instance, another example, we use the normal reciprocity that is quite close to the concept of gift giving, at least if we conceive reciprocity in a certain way. And in organizational behavior field, we used to study the reciprocity belief. So the normal reciprocity as an individual attitude to reciprocate positive actions with positive actions. We have also the negative reciprocity. Okay, so but this is again the individual level of gift giving. So you take the point of view of the individual and you study if the individual have an attitude to donate, to give, to reciprocate. But you miss, by doing this, you miss the social aspect of the gift, the relational aspect of the gift. So when I started to study the gift, I begin to think from a theoretical point of view to identify some specific aspects of the systems, the system of the way the goods circulate in a social context that can be an organization or a team or other social context, to understand if the way the goods circulate in that context is under the logic of the gift or under other logics. And I identified some aspects. For instance, we know that in economic context there is the look for certainty in the exchange, while the gift look for uncertainty. Or in economic context, the goods circulate under an equivalence rule, while the gift often follow other rules that are the rules of abundance, the lack of calculation, and another aspect is that in the economic context, often the social relations among people, like co-workers or other, are instrumental to the circulation of goods, so to the exchange, while under the logic of the gift, we know that it's the contrary. So you exchange, or you reciprocate, or you circulate some goods in order to develop social relations. So identify the so-called, as Jacques Bobu called, the relational or bonding value of the circulation of the goods. I can do other examples, but these are elements that can be studied in social contexts as organizations to identify if in that context the circulation of goods and so exchange are under the logic of the gift or under other logics. But the problem is to operationalize these elements. And I think this is a part of future research that scholars that are involved in this topic have to do. I think that, for instance, in the next future, I want to maybe do some qualitative research, but also some lab experiments or field experiments to study the social context from inside, and to understand this mechanism. But it is a part of further research, you know.
I don't know if I can add something to the question, Ricardo.
Yes, of course.
Okay, just wanted to know, how did you manage to answer specific questions when usually the response that I have got is like, why are you studying the gift if we already have some concepts within organizational theory that talks about this kind of stuff, like OCB, organizational citizenship behavior, pro-social behavior, how to be precise on making the difference that the gift is something else and actually that is needed within management? What would you say?
This is an old question, because someone made this question to me in the past. I remember when I was a PhD student and I said to my supervisor, I want to study the gift in the organizations. He said, what? So this is a good question. And I found in the future then that it was very hard to publish about gift. For instance, I can confess, but you know maybe that the article that I've published in Journal of Business Ethics about the gift in business management was included in a special issue about Caritas in Veritate. So I could publish that article maybe only because it was in a special issue about an encyclical of the Pope, you know, because when you say gift, some people think about faith, about Christianity, about these kind of things. But the challenge is to talk about a gift in a more wider way. I can say that I must admit that sometimes I have to use other concepts to go to some journals, you know, like Reciprocity is one of these. But the problem is, as I said before, that, for instance, in my field, so organizational behavior, for instance, reciprocity is used in a certain way, and it's not enough. So I'm trying to study reciprocity in other ways that are more close to the gift. And maybe if I succeed in this, I can talk about reciprocity and gift giving together, and maybe I can be accepted in some, you know, scientific communities that maybe don't care about gift giving. So you have to be also, you know, when I was young, I was very, you know, straight on the gift, and I don't want to hear about other concepts because they. But now I think that we have to sometimes to take some compromise in doing our research, because if you want to talk to some scientific communities, we have to use their language and try using their language to maybe slowly to put some you know, some gift here and there. It's not an easy, you know, it's not an easy task. The risk is to remain in a sort of niche, you know, Catholic or things like that. I am Catholic, you know, but I don't want to be a Catholic researcher, you know, because
I got it.
I want to be a researcher, a scholar. Okay.
A scholar for the world, right? Not just for our own world, really. And I think that leads me very well to ask Sarah Marie Alvarez to ask her next question. That is kind of a big connection to the world. And Sarah, if you can say just a few lines about yourself, that'll be great, so that people everywhere in the world can know you a little bit better.
Okay, hello, good morning in this side of the world. I'm from Mexico, I'm Sarah Maria. I'm a psychologist by profession, and I have a master's degree in economics and management in Italy. In my master's thesis work, I did an empirical research in an economic communion company to know how the recognition of the person is lived in an organization based on this paradigm. And there I discovered the reciprocity as the key to reading the whole business dynamic. So my question is, in the classical approach, the high performance is associated to competition and control. How does the gift impact performance within the organizations? From my point of view, when organizations give space to the gift dimension, the persons can give the best of themselves and be creative, what of course directly impact performance. Also because it improves teamwork. But on the other hand, when there's no reciprocity, it could bring some negative results like abusing of trust. Could you please share with us your point of view?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. I agree with you totally agree with you when you say that in the organizational the business context, the gift can produce positive effect also on the economic side. I totally agree. The problem is that the organizations, I'm convinced that know that. They know that, and sometimes they use the gift, also the language of the gift. They use the, we are surrounded by the language of the gift. As workers, as consumers, we are surrounded. But the problem is to understand when this language is used in a good way or in an ambiguous way, because the gift is ambiguous. It's a complex phenomenon, as I said before, and it hides many ambiguous and also negative aspects. So, from an organizational point of view, for instance, we have a lot of constructs like psychological contract, commitment, or organizational citizenship behavior. This is a very well-known concept. These are all concepts that explains that if you treat well your workers, then the workers will do more, will give more to the organization. Under the norm of reciprocity, of course, you know, this is clear. And indeed, these contracts, when they are studied, often they are studied under the norm of reciprocity. So it is clear that if you give something to that goes beyond your contractual, your contractual duties, then you will receive something back from your employees. The problem, as I said before, is the ambiguities that characterize this kind of behavior, this kind of studies, this kind of. They are all behaviors that are characterized by a prosociality or an we say extra role behaviors, because they go beyond their formal role of the worker. And so I think that organizations have this clear in mind. Okay. I wonder one thing about that. We know that the gift, the logic of the gift and the behaviors that follow this logic are effective, but we have to think also about what is effective about the gift, but I can say something later. Are effective if they are sincere, if they are unconditioned, okay? But in the organizational context, those kind of behaviors I was talking about are often conditioned by some kind of reciprocity. So I wonder if these behaviors, so organizational citizenship behaviors, pro-social behaviors, extra behaviors that are carried out by workers, I wonder if they are sincere, because often they are conditioned. And if they are not sincere, I think that they are not effective as gift behaviors. Just think about one thing. If these behaviors really follow the logic of the gift, they would not be stopped, never. Because if I perform a behavior because it is a spontaneous behavior, okay, it is an unconditioned behavior, a sincere behavior, I would not stop this behavior even if I can't see a benefit from this behavior. But organizations look to performances. So maybe if organizations don't see an increase in performances caused by those behaviors, maybe they will stop to give something to workers, and workers, what will do? They will stop also their extra role behaviors, their pro-social behaviors. But if they are sincere, they can't stop. So it is quite, it is a complex things and ambiguous things. But let me take another example from another point of view. The point of view of, for instance, the relationship between salespeople and customers. We all are customers of shops, and we know that we will more likely to buy something in a shop if the salespeople are nice with us. So organizations say to salespeople that they have to be nice, they have to smile, but how they say this to salespeople? We have to weigh. So organization can be nice towards their salespeople, and so salespeople will be nice towards the customers. This is a indirect reciprocity or generalized reciprocity. Okay, if I am nice with some people, those people will be nice with other people. Okay, and this is under the logic of the gift, I think. But there is another way to do this. Organization, so an employer can say to the salespeople, you have to be nice, you have to smile, because you have to do this. So by rule, okay. And in this way, we have the same paradox of before. So salespeople, if they want to succeed in selling their products, they have to be sincerely nice. Okay, but they can be sincerely nice only if their employer is sincerely nice with them. Okay, but if the employer say you have to be nice because if you are nice, you will sell more, and if you sell more, I will give you incentives, I will give you money. This is a conditioned way to apply the logic of the gift. So the logic of the gift is effective if it is sincere, if it is unconditioned, if it is, it is directed toward building good social relationships. Salespeople will be nice if employer is nice with them. It's a matter of a personal relationship. No, it is not a matter of economic performance. Economic performance will come, of course, but will come later. I think it's simple to understand, but it's not so simple to apply. And I think that in most of the economic context, it's not applied in this way. It's applied through, incentives, formal incentives, reward, money, because it's the easier way to manage these kind of things. I give you some money. It's easier than I will be nice with you. It's easier to give some money, but it's less effective from this point of view, I think. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I hope I have answered you, but it is a very, it's a very crucial question, this.
I think you've answered beautifully. And Chen, thank you for joining us. Before asking you to ask your question, let me just remind you that if you need translation, you can choose the appropriate channel on YouTube. So there is currently translation in Portuguese, translation in Spanish, and translation in Italian. You need to choose the Dutch link for the Italian translation. Also that part of these, the benefit of this debate and the benefit of having Professor Faldetta here with us is that you can also ask your questions. So if you want to ask questions, you can use the links on your YouTube channels, or you can ask your questions and answers here, and I'll do my best towards the end to answer these. So maybe I'll ask Guglielmo for maybe shorter answers, so we can allow for some space now at the end, if that's okay. So Chen, thank you.
Hi, my name is Cheng. Actually, I'm Chinese, but I live in Spain, Barcelona. So my research is about the role of broker in strategic alliance formation between distant culture agents. Well, it's a bit far away from the topic of the gift, but I have here two questions for Professor Faldetta. Sorry for my pronunciation. So first of all, I experienced recently something really related to the gift giving, because because of the COVID-19 the outbreak, I founded an international organization called Global Volunteer Alliance Against the COVID-19, and it's purely volunteering alliance that we help doctors from over like 30 countries to share information, and we do it only to help the doctors share more information about virus, and then they can better cure the patients and share more information. So my question is related to my experiences that during the whole time that we were doing activities on social media, especially on LinkedIn, Twitter, we were challenged by the public saying that, oh, you do this thing because you guys want to be famous. But the initial kind of founding team, all of us, we started with the idea that we really want to help and give. And I think we intentionally, everything was by pure idea of helping. So I want to ask you, the question is that, do you think, what's the dark side of the logic of gift in organizations? And how there is any like this purity in, the gift, even in difficult times? Because it's related to the topic. So this is my first question. And my second question, if you want, maybe you can answer and then I ask, but as you wish. You prefer that you answer and then I ask the second question, or
yes,
you prefer
that would be more appropriate, because it's a great question. Let's not get distracted by the second one.
Okay. So that's my question.
Okay. Thank you, Chen. It is a big question, yeah. But I can relate to what I was said before about the ambiguities, about the complexity of the gift. It would be a long talk to say something about that, and we don't have enough time. But just some points about that. First of all, the etymology of gift. Gift in English, but also gift in German is the same word, gift. I don't know the exact pronunciation, but in German language, this word means both gift and poison. Okay. And just an example, because there is a very interesting stream of research on the etymology of gift, or in Italian, it's donare, and And so there is it's very interesting because starting from the etymology of this word, you can understand that the word gift or other words in other language that means gift, like dono in Italian, are ambiguous, intrinsically ambiguous. Okay, and you know, studying the gift, you can see that the gift is free, gratuitous, but it's also obliged sometimes. The gift is disinterested, but also interested. You can use the gift to affirm your power over people. You know, the gift of the king towards their, I say the people of their reign is to affirm the power. The gift of a rich man. You know, this is interesting. When you can't give something back because the gift you have received is too much, then this is a sign that the gift is used to affirm power. Okay, if I give something that I know that giving that thing, the other cannot be able to give something back. This is a sign of the fact that the gift is interested, and it is used to affirm a social status, power. And but in literature, for instance, there is a good stream of research about the difference between bribery, corruption, and gift. There is some literature that was developed in Chinese context. For instance, Guangxi, you know,
Yeah.
And the limit between what is a gift and what is bribery. For instance, a gift doesn't look for an immediate return, while bribery generally looks for a return, and it is explicit, this. And for instance, the gift works if there is no asymmetry of power, as I said before, while in bribery, often there is an asymmetry of power. Also, another thing is the gift look for the good of many people, and most of all, the gift doesn't look for doing harm to other people, while bribery, corruption, or other negative behaviors like that often look for the good of some people, but can harm other people, you know? So if you want to study the dark side of the gift, for instance, you can study this kind of you know, phenomenon like corruption, bribery, and because you can understand many things. But generally, the gift can always have a dark side, even in and I stopped with this answer. Okay, even for instance, if just to understand, in a love relationship between two people, persons, when one gives something to the other one, and many times the gift is to affirm a power, also in love relationship, if you think about it. I give you something very precious, a ring, very precious, and so the other party of this relationship will feel very bounded in this relationship because of the ring. It is very precious. But the last thing, and the gift have to be appropriate in relation to the kind of relationship. So in a love relationship, you don't need to give a precious ring to affirm your love to another person. Most of the times you need to write a letter and give this letter. The letter has no real economic value, but it has a very strong relational value. You know, I hope that.
Thank you.
Can I just ask the second question to be
very brief?
Very brief, please, and the answer as well, because we have Karen and we have 2 questions from the audience. So we have.
Okay, so I will try to be very, very brief. It's just, do you have some advice for example, a tech company that is growing so fast and they are breaking all the rules, and the CSR division, of this company, how should they have some principles under the logic of gift that you think is the most appropriate after COVID-19 era? It's a big question, but maybe just like 2 or 3 lines of, like enlightenment.
Yeah, it's hard to give a brief answer to this question. CSR is a very big issue, and I've studied also CSR under the logic of the gift. I have an article published about that, and I found that many CSR theories are not so related to the logic of the gift. You can study many CSR theories using this kind of conceptual lens that is the gift, to understand that most of these theories are not so close to the logic of the gift. Because if you want to apply really the logic of the gift, you have to think about the things that I have said before. So no conditionality, spontaneously, the gift has to be spontaneous, sincere, and the CSR is always, often at least, made of formal procedures or things like that. It's quite hard to think about a formal CSR policies to be really related to the logic of the gift. It's hard, but we don't have enough time.
Also, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I will try to find the paper.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for those very interesting questions. Karen, our last scholar.
Hello, I'm Karen Rodrigues. I'm from Bengaluru in India. And, it's one of the most vibrant cities in the world for business right now. And I am a professor of organizational behavior. I teach and I do research in management in what is the only Jesuit business school in Bengaluru. So very quickly, my research, it related to the Francesco economy, it actually falls into 3 brackets. The first one, it focuses on for-profit businesses and their CSR activity towards disadvantaged demographic groups. Some of my other research has examined issues with urban informal sector workers from a business and management lens. And then I've also done some research on social exclusion and unfair practices in organizations. So for me, as a researcher over the last few months, the most enriching thing in the management and gift village is to find so much of common ground with the other researchers, because many of us, we are researching the same broad issues, the same themes, we are having the same thoughts, but we're doing it in our own unique contexts. And while we've been talking in our research subgroup in the village, one of the thoughts that has emerged in our meetings is, we are here at the economy of Francesco, we're looking for a new economic philosophy. But right now, our alternatives seem somewhere on the continuum along socialism and capitalism. And many countries, including many developing countries that have adopted only socialism, have failed in the sense economically, as well as, in stifling individual growth, etc. And then you have capitalism unbridled, on the other hand, that's also failed in so many ways. So in our village, one of the things that we have been talking about is about, the good parts of capitalism from a management perspective. So things like, encouraging innovation or competition among employees, or in motivating or driving sustainable profit, meeting the economic and personal growth needs of employees. So in our management and gift subgroup, my fellow researchers and I, we've been exploring the question of whether it is possible for managers to somehow keep these good parts of capitalism while minimizing the bad. And so Professor Faldetta, we would love to know your thoughts and, probably your advice to us on this.
Well, also this last question is a very big issue. I don't know if I am the right person to give advice about that, but maybe about what managers can do, maybe yes, but not at other levels. No, I'm not. Right. I'm not a political scientist or things like that. Well, the answer is, for me, is always related to the role of relationships, social relationships, how you conceive and manage social relationships in the social context or in organizations or in other contexts. They are instrumental or they are not instrumental. They are conditioned to other things, or they are free to be developed as human beings want to develop the social relationships. When I started to study the gift, I wonder if the gift could be an alternative paradigm, to other paradigms in social sciences. And I found that, we have had two fundamental logics in our world that are the logic of the market, the exchange, and the logic of the state. It's not the same as talking about capitalism and socialism, of course, but, logic of, logic of the way goods circulate in society, okay? Exchanges is one way through the market, and the state through public obligation is another way. But if you take these two alternatives in their pure forms, you will discover that relationships, social relationships, are always instrumental. Okay, are instrumental in the case of, are for sure instrumental in the case of the market, and in the case of the state, it depends on which kind of state. But always or often, the individuals are citizenship that have to obey the law, and they have to pay the taxes, and they can have in turn some services from the state, But the world of social relationship among people, real life among people, where is? Okay. So the logic of the gift has to be found in those social contexts where you can develop social relationships that are sincere, spontaneous, and you can find everywhere in theory, in the family, among friends, in a church, in a cultural circle, or or even in a firm, in an organization that both profit, no profits, doesn't matter. Okay, But the problem is, again, what do we think about social relationships? I think that the answer must found there. Okay, you know, just a word. The market, economical exchange. The way the firms have often applied a kind of logic of the gift is philanthropy. You know, the firm makes some donation or other things like that, but where is social relationship there? They are not there. They make philanthropy maybe because the entrepreneur believes that is a good thing to do, or maybe because it is a way to acquire some reputation, you know. But it's the same when you give some money to the poor people in our streets. Where is relationship? It's the same. It's a philanthropy. Philanthropy is not gift.
Right.
It's strange, but it's not gift in the sense we think about the logic of the gift. Okay, so okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Faldetta.
Well,
thank you, Riccardo.
Thank you. We have two questions. I've asked permission for another 10 minutes, Guglielmo, if that's okay with you. And we have two questions from the audience that I think they're very relevant. One is, could you provide us with a definition of gift? Because you've been talking about the ambiguity, the complexity of the term, and of course, from a scholarship perspective, there's always many definitions, but what definition would you use most commonly in your work? Maybe that's the best question I can ask.
It's another hard question. I think that when you look for a definition for the gift or for other things, you have to be general. Okay, more general, the more general possible. And so you have to avoid, for instance, for the case of the gift, you have to avoid, in my opinion, to define the gift in a narrow way. In my opinion, it wouldn't be good to define the gift as related to gratuitousness, for instance. Because if you say that the gift is gratuitous, you will fail in analyzing the complexity of the gift in many.
The richness of the phenomenon as well.
So if you want to define the gift in a wide way, you have to think just to. First of all, it's a social phenomenon. Okay, it's not an individual act. It's a social phenomenon. It's a social fact that often social communities are based on this kind of, circulation as a gift, and it's based on 3 moments, as Marcel Mauss remind us. So, give, receive, and giving back. It's a kind of reciprocal act. So it is a process. It is not individual, because you have to give, someone else have to receive, and back. To whom? To the first actor or to others? It doesn't matter. Okay, because through the gift you can manage, you can develop an interpersonal relationship among two people, or you can develop a social communities that is based on the gift. So I think we have to stop in defining the gift to this element. Then you can think about what are the motivations of the gift? Sincerity, spontaneously, gratuitousness, or interest or obligation, a social obligation. But all these things are about the gift. So if you give for a self-interest, it is a gift, but it is a specific kind of gift, like the gift to affirm a social power, a status, a social status, a power, you know. This is a kind of gift. This is not the gift that I like, but it is a kind of gift.
Mm.
So I suggest to remain more general in defining the gift, because if you want to study the gift everywhere, you have to adopt a general definition. Then you can do a lot of specification about the characteristic of the gift. The gift is unconditioned, but can be conditioned. The gift can search for equivalence or for abundance. Not so. It is a relation that is unbalancing in its development. You know. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. It was not a single definition, but I think you paid justice to the richness of the phenomenon, right? And that's the most important thing when we're researching anything. That question, I should have said that. Credit to that question goes to Christian Loza Adui that asked that question. Thank you, Christian. And I have a final question from Abraham Monroy. It's related to that question of taking care of the people, right? If taking care of the people in organizations will lead to higher performance, that was your answer, of course, and then to higher profits. But probably, and this is an inference, it takes a little bit of time. It may be on the long term. So the gift works on the long term, on the long run. How to deal with this when managers need results on the short run, you know? And that question comes from Abraham Monroy. Thank you, Abraham.
Thank you, Abram, for the question. And I can relate to what I said before about performance, about sincerity, you know. But I can add something else. I could answer in many ways. First of all, the fact that in the long term, in the long run, you will have some benefits from this kind of, you know, gift giving. But as I said before, we can call this kind of stuff in other ways, like psychological contract, commitment, other ways. And all these fields of research are agree that in the long term there are benefits. We don't need the gift to say that.
Mm.
So even in the long term, we don't need to use the gift to say that. It's true that a gift maybe in the long term will give some benefit, but first of all, you have to be sincere, as I said before, to have benefits in the long term. So, and if you are sincere, you don't have to look, you don't need to look at the benefit, the future benefit, even in the long term. You are sincere. If I help a colleague because I feel that it is the right way to think about my being a worker, you know, it's normal for me to help a colleague when I see that this colleague has some problem, and I am so I am spontaneous, I'm sincere. Who cares about some benefits in the future that maybe I will receive from him or from other or from my supervisor that will appreciate that I helped the colleague? But if I am sincere, I won't think about the future benefit. In the future, maybe I will have some benefit. So this is the first aspect about that. Second aspect, in the short run, well, the answer is similar. This kind of stuff works if we are sincere. If we are, so it's a matter of our, you know, our human being, the way we think that we have to be as human beings. So in the long term, or in the short run, we will perform some kind of behaviors, of given behaviors, without thinking about benefit. The problem is when we work in an organization that asks us for performance and ask us for performance in the short run. So what is the answer in this case? That one answer is that we as universities or other institutions like that, we have to make future managers more aware of these kind of things. So we have to do a sort of cultural, work on future managers. And what about the actual managers that we have in the organizations? This is the hardest part. Maybe we can convince them that they have to wait for the long term. But I think that we don't have to use the gift to convince them that they have to wait for in the long term for benefits. Every kind of managerial theories about organizational behavior say that you will have in the long term some benefits from some kind of behaviors. Maybe we can call this kind of stuff as a sort of enlightened self-interest from managers. I don't like this kind of, this kind of expression. But maybe if these managers are not in this mindset oriented to the gift, we can use other mindset like enlightened self-interest. So it is in your interest to treat well workers because in the long term you will have some benefit. We don't have to use the gift, or at least we don't need it.
And I think if there's something I learned today was about you have to be genuine, right? So the gift is about also you being, genuine. So thank you very much. I think our time is over. Maybe in one sentence, if you could give us a book for people to read, if they're interested in finding more about this, what book would they read about the gift?
Well, it's not easy. I was not prepared about this. Maybe, well, I can suggest some books that I've read many years ago. And first of all, Marcel Mauss, that is the first researcher, and he was a cultural anthropologist who studied the gift in archaic society. If you want to understand something about the gift as a social fact, you have to know Marcel Mauss' work. And maybe, if I can say something else, some other authors from French, like Alain Caillé or Jacques Gaubout, that is Canadian, but who have studied the gift in the 80s, 90s, following the Marcel Mauss approaches. So this kind of authors, maybe just to have a view, a general view about the gift, not in management, of course, but you have to start with
to study the gift, to learn more about the gift.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a great privilege to have you here on this online seminar of the Economy of Francesco. And maybe before we finish, can I just ask, and they're also not ready for this because this is unscripted now, but can I ask everyone involved in making this happen? So Roberta, Karen, Diego, Cheng, unfortunately, Sarah Maria had to go, but also Alejandro, Adriana, and Emanuele, and the team back at the Economy of Francesco, to turn on the camera so people can see us. We talked about social relationships, and one of the big things here in social relationships is, of course, our faces, our smiles, our eyes, the way we express ourselves. so people back at home can see everyone that prepared this and was working very hard to translate this for you. And especially so, this is the team that made this happen. And unfortunately, Sarah-Marie is not here anymore with us, but she sends her bye-bye. So thank you very much, Guglielmo, and I'll see you soon for sure. And bye-bye for now.
Thank you all, and bye.
Thank you, Professor.